I'll say a few words about the show. This is the Pixel Revolution show of May 15 to June 1st, which I curated. My name is Otto Laske, and what you see here is a mix of animation, stills, digital painting and photography. And we can begin here. This is an animation still by Sylvia Pengilli. She's one of the best-known animators in the country, and has been a model for many students of animation. So what you see is just a single frame taken out of an animation that could comprise 10,000 frames or so. And the work is not framed, as you see, but it's hung from or through poster hangers, as they are called. Well, as you can see, this still is somewhat of the same family. It has a family similarity to the one we just saw. This is called the green Formix ball, and it was called coral purple. And Sylvia Pengilli's animations are they are full of images in motion in a particular way that you will see in the animation show next week at the community cinema. Then we come to a digital painting, or two of them, by Scott Smith. The first is called Horse on a Red Dirt Road, and the second is called Cayman River. So here you have an example of digital painting. Actually, I use the same software that he does, which is called Studio Artist, in which you can not only paint but also manipulate images, and it's a very, very rich program. I could imagine these to be much larger than they are, but he chose to show them in this small format. So this is a local artist, Ruth Schneider, and I think one can say what you see here is a kind of, it looks like a painting to me, but actually it is probably produced by the overlaying of two different images. But it would be much better to ask her herself. She typically works with photomontage, you could say, but I have no idea exactly how this was done. I cannot. So these are two works by Aline Rabinovich. She's in Jerusalem, Israel, and the first is called Palm Tree Sparks. And she actually is a well-known animator also, and again, I can only speculate how this was done. It seems to me, I see it as a painting. I don't see it as related to animation, but it might be. And the one below is called Bush Shades. And you can see she is a very, very good draftsman as well as painter. Yeah, so this is one of my own works, and it's called The Creation. It's worked from an animation still into a digital painting. And actually the animation still is based on a photograph. So it combines in a way all the three media that are being shown in this exhibition. This is Karen Rosenthal's body reflection. She's a photographer, and what is characteristic of her work is that she uses a handheld camera going very close to the objects. And in this case, she uses water reflections mixed with reflections from a human body. So you see the shells in the water and you see the reflections here of the human body. And we have another work of hers over there. She's quite known for that. And she'll be here later. This is Jean Deteu's work. He is a Canadian artist from Montreal. And he is, I would say, world famous for his animations. And so these are animation stills. And the first is called Nidre, and the second one is Sato de Printemps. And they are small. Unfortunately, I would have loved to show them much larger. But that's what we got. And you can see his work next Saturday. It's quite dazzling. He's actually a painter who had to go to digital media because he fell sick using these poisonous materials that he was using in painting. So he became a digital artist by force, and today is one of the best known. Yeah. So this is Silvia Pengilli's animation frame called Spiral Band. And again, I wish I could say more about it. It tends to use geometric figures. The upper one is called Three Studies after Kandinsky.
And the artist's name was Dennis Miller?
Dennis Miller. Yes. This is a little artist by name Matt Segalis. And this, I don't quite know how to call this because it's not in the animation still, not a photography, and it's not a painting either, but I would say it's a kind of painting. It's printed on metallic paper, which I think suits the work pretty very well. This is Ruth Schneider's Africa, and she tends to work with photo collage, photo montage. You can see the overlay of different images here that make up a composite. So this is another photograph by Karen Rosenthal. We saw body reflections over there. This is called Arab, and again you see the use of water reflections as in the other work.
Okay. On this one.
This is my own work called Contemplation with Attendance. It's a digital painting, also done from an animation still. Because I'm using a mix of the media that here are shown, animation stills, photography, and digital painting. And here, these media are somewhat separate, so you can look at each of them separately. Here I just want to introduce the local artists who are here, because you can ask them questions later, and they will also say a few words anyway. This is Karen Rosenthal, photographer, fine art photographer. And and Matt Segedis, whose work is right here, across from me, and myself. And I have work in the middle here and in the corner over there. So, Matt, would you be willing to start and just say a few words, come up here?
This is called Klim Trip. I named it after Gustav Klim because it's evocative of his work. And I didn't name it until after I had finished it. This is a composite of two different photographs. Actually, one photograph and one painting, an abstract painting that I made on my iPad. And so the photograph is of a bubble pattern of condensation underneath some shrink wrap of a pallet of building materials at a construction site. And so I was fascinated by the pattern of the condensation bubbles. Did some close-up photography that hundreds of pictures. And I like this pattern best. And I use a technique where I merge a photograph with some colors that I either generate on my iPad or actually from abstract paintings that I do, or maybe an abstract painting that my wife is working on, and combine the photograph with the color image that is generated from a variety of sources. And then I use a technique in Photoshop. It's called the difference mode. It's a layer where it takes the color and combines with two different colors together, two different layers. It sort of inverts the colors in unpredictable ways.
Interesting.
So those people that use Photoshop will recognize it as the difference mode. And it's a very serendipitous process. When I do this kind of work, I never know what I'm going to come up with until I get there. Yeah. It's not like beginning with the end in mind. But it's a discovery process.
What drew you to doing this kind of work in the first place?
Playing with the tools and seeing how things could mix and match and create something entirely different and unexpected just through experimentation. And it can be frustrating because you try a lot of different combinations and techniques and colors and come up empty. In other words, dead ends where the image doesn't please me.
Right.
I'll have to start from scratch. Right. And so I might try 50, 100 different combinations of something before I get something that I like to work with.
Interesting.
So the result, can be unexpected and surprising and delightful. Because I've never seen anything quite like that before.
No, it's beautiful.
So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Sure, my pleasure.
Okay.
This is called Africa. It had been named something once before, but someone looked at the photograph and said, that looks like Africa to me. So I said, yeah, that's a good idea. This is before I had exhibited it anywhere else. And this was done using three actual images. My husband and I used the term merging because, for lack of another word, it started out with a sunset that I had taken in Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. I can't remember. I was on a moving bus, and the sun was going down, and I took a long exposure, and it was very blurry. And so all the oranges that you see in there are from the sunset image. From there, I had a photograph of a close-up of rust on some piece of metal. I was somewhere out somewhere. And so these black images are a close-up of rust that's kind of almost dripping down. And then the kind of textures that you see are a third image that I merged with this that is from a painting that I had half finished. I take painting classes once in a while, and it seems to me that half of them end up under the bed or in the closet unfinished. And so I've now found a great way to utilize those paintings. So those are the three things that you see there. So most of my work is done by merging several images, usually no more than three, and most often it's two images.
Well, I've been photographing nudes in the landscape since 1975, and I used to photograph, of course, with film, which is all there was, and I was always interested in bodies in and water and reflections, and the integration of humans and nature as in a harmonious way, that we are one and the same. But I'm also interested in images that are mysterious and create illusions. paradoxes that don't hand over right away what they're about. And so in my black and white work, which went on for years and years, it became very abstract. And it just, I kept learning more and more about what light can do, what water can do, what combinations of, bodies being in shade, bodies being in sun, what those kinds of lighting conditions create in terms of imagery. And it was in 2004 that I started working in Maine instead of in Greece and on Cape Cod, and looking for other kinds of materials, looking for more natural elements like shells and tide pools to work with. And I started photographing just reflections of bodies and not bodies directly, and merging the reflections with the tide pools and learning about what the light does in a case like that. And this is one of the images that is in the show. And can you see it?
Yeah, well, okay, come down, back up. Yeah,
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Here, I'll
so
flip
this image is called ARP, and it actually is the very beginning of this new series of work. It happened kind of accidentally, and it's just a reflection of a person standing over a tide pool, but I'm not photographing the person, I'm photographing the person's reflection into the tide pool. And because there's no light on her body, the shade that's projecting downwards makes a transparency into the tide pool, and the elements that are in the pool start becoming part of her body. So it actually was shot like, let's see, it would have been shot like this,
Yeah.
but I present it like this because I like the way it activates in this orientation. These little boomerang shapes and hot dog shapes start to play, and it reminds me of the work of Jean Arp, so it got called Arp. And it's very close up to a tide pool with the figure reflecting on it. And this really was the very first successful image. And I've worked with reflected bodies in the tide pools in a variety of ways and learned more about light over the years. So this image was shot this way, but is presented this way. And one thing I learned is that you get the transparency into the tide pool when there's no light on the body, but if there is sunlight on the body that's reflecting, the sunlight sits on the surface, and it looks like flesh on the surface, and it merges with the pool elements underneath the water. And that way you get a fusion of flesh and nature. And there's another image in the show here that uses just the sunlit body and creates little focused images that are very small, as well as a generalized sense of flesh. And that happened kind of by accident, that I discovered that would happen. I was photographing the generalized flesh, and the actual body showed up.
Wow.
And that blew my mind that you could do that. So I went in search of these little bodies, and I found them in the most incredible ways. And so I did a number of years following those. I've captured actual fleshy body reflections on the hinge of a mussel shell, or inside of a snail, wrapped around shells. Kind of amazing stuff. I've learned a lot about optics just through this experimenting. So these are a little bit of the scientist in me. I was a biology major in college, so that piece of me comes to life in these images. And sometimes I think I use a camera a little like a microscope, pushing to see beyond the immediate, and knowing that there's something really amazing if you can look closer. And I have found some amazing things happening.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also the curator of the Pixel Revolution show at Rocky Neck, and the two shows hang together. It's a pleasure to welcome you this afternoon. I think you will be surprised about what you are going to see, but also to hear, because the 10 pieces we are going to show actually also constitute a concert. Because the animations I show you here are called visual music animations, and they are made by composers. You will see 10 pieces by 4 animators, Jean Duteux, Sylvia Pengeli, Dennis Miller, and myself. And each of these artists have a different approach, as you will see, to animations, but they all share that either they are composers, like Miller, Pengeli, and myself, or they are very much inspired by music, like Jean Duteux. He is the only one in this show who uses instrumental music, and he works very closely with his performers when he makes a piece. You will see that. So these animations are really different from other videos and animations you may have seen, in that every microsecond of the animation is based on a musical score. And the musical score is the backbone of what you see. So we can say perhaps that the images you see here are meant to visualize the movement of the music. And as you know, composers are interested in the melodic, rhythmic, harmonic movement of music, the structure of music, and of course also the tension, the flow, the texture of sounds and all that. And you can, for yourself, see how this musical process is mapped into the images. I emphasize that because most people think that the music is just, an accompaniment, but not here. So that's the difference. Let me say something about the animators. Jean Duteux started out as a painter, and in 1997 had to switch to animation because he got ill being exposed to the toxic materials of painting. He moved away from painting and carried it into animations, and what you will see is that his animations are practically the unfolding of a painting in time. That is his approach. Sylvia Pengeli is a professor of music, now retired, who is very interested in the connection between what the eye sees and the ear hears, and she bases herself on mathematics, on physical and mathematical formulas in doing her work. Then there is Dennis Miller, who is actually my mentor in animation, who is the founder of the Arts and Technology program at Northeastern University in Boston. And in 2007, he's a brilliant animator, as you will see, with a very close fit of music and image, probably the closest you see here today. He is now known for his what is called the Boston Visual Music Marathon, which took place in 2007, where 130 animations were shown over 24 hours without interruption. And that kind of started the movement of visual music, or at least made it known. As to my own animations, I have stayed very close to poetry readings. One animation you will see is called Coves and is based on photographs of Cape Ann coves, but they're not meant to be identified. It's more a matter of capturing the spirit of coves, of seafaring and so forth. And the second animation is the only piece in this show that is based on a poetry reading. So you have a mix of poetry reading, electroacoustic music, and a sequence of images. I would just counsel you in that piece, which is called Farewell to Los Angeles, not to strain and try to understand every word, because what matters is the music of the poetry reading itself, the way it is mapped into images and sound. If you want, we can have a 15-minute Q&A at the end. I just want to add some logistics also. On June 1st, the Pixel Revolution show comes down at Rocky Neck, and in the afternoon there is going to be, or is there not, a talk between Gordon Goedemann and myself about new ways of painting and how they relate to older ways of painting. And then on June 20 at 7 p.m., also at Rocky Neck, is going to be an artist talk where 3 local artists in the Pixel Revolution show are going to talk about their workflow. So we will use projections they will use projections to explain how they make their images and what's involved. So if you're interested in that, you're welcome. So again, it's a pleasure. I should say actually for me this is a special day because I have been in computer music since 1966, and I see this, the animations we see and hear today as the confluence of the computer music evolution and the what was called computer graphics evolution. I was artistic director of Newcomp in the 80s, and we also showed animations, but we called them computer graphics. So this is what computer graphics are today. So if you have a desire to ask some questions at the end, we can do that. Thank you very much. and slender spring and tender May are here, have come overnight. How do you know, my love? But surely, she said, they must. As for winter, we have had it too long. The smog. Lifting it out of itself will take forever. As we land, the wheels again rotate after their hanging sleep. Dreaming in the smog, trying to lift it, is our undertaking. Expecting you is not like anything I know. I do not grasp you and how the clouds pass by, or the sun sets in mist under your eyelids. There is wind when you come, wind from the sea that drives me down the coast in dark sail. Expecting you is knowing no tides and nothing or little of clouds, where the compass needle slowly pointing south. It was nice to see you, she said. Our time is up. Time is up. Do seek yourself another love. I prefer to be single, she said. It's hard. It's hard. It's really nice to see you.
Thank you.